I have seen real slaves and it broke my heart inside. I cut. Back in the mid-2010s, I spent a lot of time in the ME when the Syrian civil war was raging hard. There were refugees everywhere. I saw many, but one stood out in a way I'll never forget. See, the refugees coming across certain borders are vulnerable. Syndicates will take their passports and force them to beg and into prostitution, at any age. The babies that were born are used with the beggars on the streets. It's awful. I bought this one boy and a girl some nice shoes, a backpack, and a nice shirt only to find them stolen the next day. Well, I saw this one little girl when I first got there. I guess she was maybe 8 or 9 at the time. She was always in the streets begging and so on. I saw her from time to time over the years. Ironically, as I was leaving like 3.5 years later, I saw that same little girl in the street begging again, but this time she was pregnant. They prostituted that little girl. If she survives pregnancy and birth, that baby will be considered owned property when born. Most likely will be used by other beggars. There was absolutely nothing in my hands to do other than give up on humanity little more. God only knows where she or her kid are now. But out of that experience, I remember her the most. The worst part is that it's all out in the open. But no one cares, BC, they are refugees. Thus is what modern slavery looks like, and it's a tragic scar on humanity. Life just isn't fair. All we can do is try to impact what's around us in a positive way. I hope you're okay, OP. It's so sad to think about how kids get caught up in situations like that, but I guess there are still people trying to help, even if it's not always visible. That's so heartbreaking. Wild how stuff like this happens in the open and no one steps in. I am the editor in a small Telegram channel, and we also have a website. I would love to post your story, if you are willing. If you want, you can message me. If the girl was 8 or 9, then she wouldn't have survived that pregnancy. It was very common after the genocide in Rwanda for girls who had been raped to die in childbirth because their hips were not developed enough to let the child out. A horrifying number of children died this way. There are many enslaved. Yazidi, https www.cnn.com, 2024-10-04, Middle East, Yazdi, ISIS Hamas woman, rescued Intel. ME is 22 countries. What country were you in when that happened? Even during the height of the Syrian civil war, only a few Arab countries allowed refugees in, sadly. Saw a lot of this in Colombia with Venezuelan migrants. Heartbreaking. The global seafood trade and industry is largely dependent on slaves. These people are tricked onto boats with promises of a good salary and forced to work without food and pay. Get injured and chances are you're dead and thrown into the sea. In the US, we call them undocumented workers. I watched this a few years ago in